A very pleasant morning to everyone. We, the team Conquerors, are here before you to present the topic research on women and their fight for equality. Our team comprises of 8 members. They are Amandeep, Gagan, Amog, Pranil, Nimit, Vikas, Esh, and myself, Sujan Tavrenavar. So here goes the presentation. Women and their fight for equality. The Women's Strike for Equality was a strike which took place in the United States on August 26, 1970. It celebrated the 50th anniversary of passing of 19th Amendment, which effectively gave the American women to right to vote. The rally was sponsored by the National Organization for Women. Now, about 50,000 women gathered for the protest in New York City and even more throughout the country. At this time, the gathering was largest on the behalf of women in the United States.
The strike, spearheaded by Betty Friedan, self-stated three primary goals: free abortion on demand, equal opportunity in the workforce, and free childcare. The strike also advocated for other second-wave feminist goals more generally, such as politician rights for women and social equality in relationships such as marriage.
Historical context of strike. At the time of protest, women still did not enjoy many of the same freedoms and rights to men, despite the passage of the Equal Pay Act of 1963, which prohibited pay discrimination between two people who perform the same job. Women comparatively earn 15% of every dollar a man made of similar work. Women were also restricted in terms of their access to higher education. For example, Harvard University did not admit women until 1977, and regardless of education, women were generally channeled into one of four occupational choices: secretarial, nursing, teaching, or motherhood.
Sandra Day O'Connor, the first female Associate Justice of the US Supreme Court, who graduated at the top of her class from Standard Law School, was offered only secretarial jobs in Los Angeles law firms despite her prestigious degree. In 43 states, women were limited in the number of the hours they could work and the amount of weight they could carry, generally no more than 25 pounds, the size of a toddler, as some feminists noted. In many states, women were also unable to obtain credit cards, make wills, or own property without a husband. The right to serve on a jury was denied to women in some states.
Feminist Betty Jameson Armstead sent a letter to Betty Friedan and others proposing the strike. Betty Friedan, writer of the Feminine Mystique and a leader of second wave feminism, then planned the protest to commemorate the anniversary of landmark legislation and spotlight current battles. She said the movement was in need of something big, something so big it will make a national headlines. Friedan initially proposed a strike to the National Organization of Women, an organization which she had helped found. Members were hesitant, however, fearful that the protest would not be successful and could create a mockery of their movement.
Friedan continued to develop a strategy months in advance. Despite the native reception, the initial planning meeting was small and planners sat in a circle and discussed possible strategies without a real leader or any formal organization. The meetings produced nothing relevant as the planners progressed, so did the controversy. In the final month leading up to the event, the group was significantly divided into two factions: the young radical crazies and Progress founders. Eventually, Friedan prevailed, avoiding deep divisions by recurring women and men, liberals and conservatives alike. Friedan sought permission from the city of New York to close Fifth Avenue of the protest. The city
In Detroit, women staged a sit in a men's restroom protesting unequal facilities for men and women staffers. In Pittsburgh, 4 women threw eggs at a radio host who dared them to show their liberation. 1,000 women in Washington, D.C. staged a march down from Connecticut Avenue behind a banner reading, "We demand equality." In the same city, garment workers organized a peaceful protest and staged a teach-in which educated people about injustice done to women, mindful that it was against the law of garment workers to strike. Silent vigils held in Los Angeles drew meager crowds of only 500. Minneapolis, women gathered and staged guerrilla theater involving key figures in national abortion debate and stereotypical roles of women in American society. Women were portrayed as mothers and wives, doing dishes, rearing children, and doting obnoxiously on their husbands, all while wearing heels and aprons. Approximately 100 women participating in strike also marched Keener 5 Memorial Plaza in St. Louis as well. Though gaining less media attention than public demonstrations, another component of protest was a one-day strike from work. Betty Friedan had asked that the women who were doing menial chores in offices as secretaries put the covers on their typewriters. The waitresses stop waiting, cleaning women stop cleaning, and everyone who is doing a job for which a man would be paid more stop working. Striking from a work was intended to highlight unequal pay as well. As limited job opportunities for women, in addition to refusing to perform paid labors on this day. Women across the country were also asked to refrain from any household chores. By refusing to cook or clean, they were attempting to emphasize the unequal distribution of household work among the sexes. However, because of nature of striking from unpaid labor, it is unclear how many women participated. Despite initial obstacles and setbacks, Friedan declared that event a success. Including the protests and demonstrations throughout the country, she proclaimed, "It exceeded my wildest dreams. It's now a political movement and the message is clear."
Hope everyone's doing good. Myself, Amo from class 10, here to read the paragraphs this time. So let's begin with it. Despite the setback, women gathered on the streets at around 5 pm, chosen so that the working women could attend, and began protesting. The New York action included chanting and speeches by prominent figures, included Friedan, as well as signs and posters. Crowd estimates put somewhere between 10 and 20,000 people, mostly women, gathered on the Fifth Avenue. Police attempted to keep the crowd restricted to one lane of the traffic, but the sheer volume of the people was impossible to control, and they spread across the street from the sidewalk to the sidewalk. Thousands of politically and satirically charged signs dotted the crowd. "Don't iron while the strike is hot," set the stage as the protest's famous slogan. Others included "Hard hats for the soft brutes," "I am not a Barbie doll," "Stocks fly, why can't mothers, we are the 51% minority," and the sardonic "We have the right to vote for the man of our choice." Speeches were given to ignite the crowd and inform bystanders. Friedan spoke the strength and ability of the women to rise above their oppression. The strike's goals were to publicize the feminist movement and ideas and to expose the injustices experienced by women. In conjunction with the New York City action, individuals and their groups throughout the nation staged protests, marches, and other various forms of revolt to honor the movement. One example occurred in the Boston, where around 5,000 women gathered in Boston Common and 1,000 went on to march into downtown Boston. A noon rally was also driven around 2,000 people in the San Francisco's Union Square. About 125 women marched on City Hall in Syracuse, New York, and in Manhasset. Women gathered signatures on a petition urging Senate passage to the Equal Rights Amendment. Thank you, everyone.